Welcome to the formal writing and the business case session. There's two parts to this. I just want to recap a couple of things about formal report writing just to make sure that we've got all the bases covered, and then pull apart the business case template so that you can write your own in the program. And also the business case template is also available on the student resources website. So you can go and grab that whenever you need. So you can start looking at that. And obviously I'm going to talk you through that as we go. But formal writing first. Every sort of heading that you will have in the formal report requires a paragraph answer to a degree. And so with that, I would encourage you to use essay paragraphs to think through how you explain the detail that you need, because it's not just about what your decision is, but why you've made that decision. So maybe state the point early underneath the heading. You then analyze it and give reasons why you chose to do this. If you have some evidence to back it up, put it in there, and then obviously pull the paragraph to a close. It's the what and the why that's really key. If you've got multiple ideas to share, you may need multiple paragraphs, and that's okay. You just want to make sure that you can get your information across and your thinking so that the judges can understand your idea, because all they will read when it comes to the business case is the document. They can't ask you questions. Now, in terms of the writing process, I encourage you just to step it out with a writing structure to be able to just not miss some of the steps. So pre-writing is just simply getting some ideas under some headings. It might be some dot points. And you've also got the planning canvas to help you with that. Drafting is starting to think of, okay, how do we build out the document and writing the first version? Peer review and guidance and the feedback, checking in with us. We'll give you some feedback, maybe someone else on your team, and also giving you some feedback as well. You might want to swap it with another team or something else. Get some feedback from other people and make sure it's clear and concise and saying everything you need to say. Then revise it. Don't just take the feedback and go, cool, thanks. Actually do something with it. And then go through and actually edit it yourself. Carefully check spelling, punctuation, everything else, making sure that it's really solid and the information is consistent. Before you hand it in, just reflect, is this the best that we can do as a group? Really take that time just to reflect and polish up. Don't just give something in that's half finished. When you've got a bit of a chance to refine it and make it really great, do that and then obviously publish it and hand it in. And we're guiding you through that process because we've got the planning canvas, we've got the draft submission, and then you've got the final submission. So we're going to help you through that. There's a bit of a checklist for your report. Make sure you've got a cover page. Make sure you've got a contents page, so it's really easy to find where you are in the document. Use formal language throughout, so spell words out, avoid slang, write in third person, and use obviously appropriate grammar. If you've got information sourced from other places, make sure you reference it. And then just keep all the headings and the subheadings in the document. Don't just sort of keep the big headings and disappear the little ones. You will need all of those headings, and then you put your paragraphs or your words underneath. So let's get into the business case itself. So as you can see on the screen, you've got the sections that we're going to cover off. So you've got your contents and cover page we've already discussed that you need. The executive summary, which is written like a section that you can pull out and give to the executive or the business leader to quickly review the core information. And then someone else in the organisation can read the detail that goes in the other sections. Move on to the situation analysis, which is the problem that you see. Proposed solution, which unpacks the idea that you're going to say is the right solution to this problem, your business idea. And then the implementation. How do you even put this into place and give them the detail around that? You close with 1 or 2 paragraphs in your conclusion, which just sums up your main points, and then a reference list at the end. So let's pull each of these apart because there's a number of subheadings underneath each of these that you need to write to. So the executive summary. So as I said, this is designed to be written as though it could be detached. So you may find yourself repeating what you've done in the executive summary in other parts. That's perfectly fine. But make sure that you're probably going to summarize more in the executive summary and put more detail in the other parts of the document. The 4 headings, current situation. So just give us an overview of what's the problem that you see and just some key factors around the background of that problem. And then the reasons for change. Why can't we let this keep going on? Why do we need to change this? What's the reason for something different to be done? Then your proposed solution. Okay, so if we need to do something different, what do you propose we do? How's it going to work? Give us some factors around how that could come together. And then the expected impact. If we put your idea in place, what difference will it make? What's the impact to certain groups of people? Are there different impacts for different areas? Just to make sure that it's really clear that you go, here's our problem, here's why we need to do something about it, here's what we're going to do, and here's how the impact is going to be felt. That's the executive summary. Let's get into the situation analysis, which provides the background of the problem that you've identified. Only about the problem. So think about that stage 1 problem framing thinking. You're only going to write out your problem frame with some background on why it's the problem that you've chosen, and obviously some of the detail around it. So you write your problem frame and then just a bit of background detail. And then the market research task, which you've been working on. So this goes in here. So your customers, the reasons for the benefit, and then obviously the current industry as well. And that all goes in the situation analysis. Then that's done. That's all there is to it. We move on to the proposed solution. So this is where you start to unpack your idea that you've got. And remember, the what and the why, you've got to back it up. So possible solutions. You've probably come up with a range of ideas when you're working on your solution canvas or even thinking it through. So just give an outline of what those ideas were really briefly so that we can see that you didn't just choose the first idea you thought of, but you had a range of thoughts. And then your proposed solution. Okay, now give the detail around your solution and really go into detail around how it works, why you chose this one, some of the impact, some of the factors that you need to consider. So that's really clear that this is the right idea and people understand it when they read it. Then staffing and resources. So who do you need to work to make this idea happen? What experience do they need? What qualifications? Is there certain resources or equipment that you specifically need to do that? And obviously where you can provide detail to make it make sense. Because once you've got a great idea, then the next question will be, okay, well, how do you do it? Well, you're going to probably need some people and some equipment. Do you even know what that is? Cool, you back it up with that statement. The assumptions is something that we raise in the financial session around the assumptions that you make. You've got to make some logical guesses, and you've used great logic to do it. And to outline your assumptions in the business case, you simply need to mention what that assumption is and why you made that assumption. So justify your logic. Tell someone what your thought process was so that they can agree, yeah, actually that does make sense. Or they can very quickly identify where your logic might be wrong because of their experience or something else that's happened, and at least can clarify that. So it's really important you do work through that. The last section of the proposed solution is the cost-benefit analysis that was covered in the financial session, and that's just a paragraph that comes out that's written in there, and if you need more detail, go to the financial presentation. All right, implementation plan. This is the final big section of the business case. The establishment costs at the first section and the last part, the forecast profit and loss statement, again, are part of the financial tables, and you will need to either insert the tables or put a reference to them in the document so that it's really easy to find those tables, and obviously read it as part of the full business case. The support required. You're going to need to write out what help you need to start the idea. You're probably going to need some money to start the idea. Great. Do you need some help though? Do you need some marketing advice? Do you need someone to open some networks? Do you need some connections? How can people help you out? That might not be with money, but with other things to make your idea be really great. Once you've worked out what you're going to need, how are you going to get it? And will you give anything back to those who support you? Are you going to say, get a bank loan, but then what are you going to put up for security on a bank loan to make sure that the bank won't be out of money if the business goes down? Are you going to get an investor? What are you going to give the investor back? How are you going to get this? Are you guys going to fund it yourself? Just think about that. The next part, the key performance indicators, is it's really important to think about how you're going to measure success in your idea and put some metrics and targets around it. So if your idea is going to do X, Y, and Z, how do you measure that successful? How are you going to analyze that? And how you're going to collect that information so that it's really clear that we know that you're focused on achieving that success. Key stakeholders are just outlining all the organizations that have basically that they hold a stake in your business. They want you to succeed. They have a reason to rely on you, or you rely on them. So maybe think about who do your customers actually help advocate for your business? Are there partners that you want to work closely with? Do your investors give you more than money? And how do you obviously keep a strong relationship with everybody that you are working alongside? Key milestones comes out from your planning canvas, and explain the stages that you're going to work towards launching your business idea. Are there any trial stages, any tests you're going to complete? And understand that you are not going to go from a small business to an international business in the space of 6 months. You are going to step through that. And so those milestones or those stages are the steps that you're going to go through to make that happen. Your forecast profit and loss, as mentioned, is your financial table. So we go over to your conclusion, and this obviously closes out the document. Just 1 or 2 paragraphs that reaffirms the problem, the solution, how you're going to do it, and just really hits home why you need to do your idea. And then a reference list at the end to show all the sources that you've used in your document that you've created. And so it's really easy to find and backup if you need to, the information there. So that's the business case template. There's a bit of writing there, but I'm sure as you work through it, you'll be able to pull it all together. Now, what should you be doing from here? If you haven't written your team agenda already, make sure that you do write that so you have a plan for the day. If you've got some time to still work on research, make sure you get that done. If your financial tables have started, obviously keep working on those. You've got your marketing strategy to work on, and you've got your business case. So you've got a fair bit of stuff there to work on, and so you really do want to get started on some of those things and make sure you have a really solid plan across your team to start thinking ahead for today and for the rest of the program as well. So good luck, teams, and make sure you stay on Collaborate for other information.